Welcome back to the podcast, everybody.
Welcome.
We are back with a Path of Zen episode. We're going back in time on another trip. So going back to 2024 March, we traveled to Canada for the very first time.
Oh, Canada.
Is that the national anthem?
That's the national anthem.
Is it actually?
Yeah, it is actually.
I never know because you do things so confidently.
Yeah.
I'm like, you could be making this up and I would
definitely
believe
is.
it.
I mean, I've never been there for it when they sang it, but I've heard people sing it before, so I assume it is. Maybe it's changed.
We'll go with
Sometimes these
it.
things change.
We'll go with it. Just act confident and no one will question it.
Exactly.
But yeah, so we traveled to Canada off the back of about 7 trips in 2023, plus we skied in Japan prior to this trip in January. So we did 7 trips in 2023, Hakuba trip in January 2024, and then we went to Canada. So that's like 8 trips within like just over 12 months. So it was a lot of traveling.
We were suffering from travel fatigue. It was the affliction was so hard to bear, but we got through it in the end.
Yeah, it was funny because we were so keen for this trip, and I think we had extremely high expectations because when people talk about Canada, they speak so highly of it. So we had the bar set high for us, and maybe it was set a little bit too high.
Yes, that's putting it lightly. Yeah, we were honestly talking about like, oh yeah, maybe this will be a place we live one day, and we might move here and all this kind of stuff, just based on stories and what you hear about it. So yeah, it is a really good idea to go and actually spend some time in places before you get too much of an idea in your head about them.
Definitely. So we went to do a ski trip and we were staying in Vancouver and we were skiing in Whistler. So on paper, it sounds like a great trip. And it was. Like, we made the most of it. However, we did not realize that...
We did not realize.
What, you making fun of my accent?
We don't actually have an accent. You just put one on sometimes. We did not realize that Vancouver was overrun by homeless people. We did not realize that The Walking Dead was actually filmed in Vancouver. And they didn't have to hire any actors. It's just like that.
Yeah, so if you don't know what we're talking about, and if you're not aware, in Vancouver, amongst other cities in the world, there's a bit of a homelessness problem, but more importantly, a drug problem. In Canada...
Epidemic.
Yeah, epidemic is the right word. You are allowed to have certain drugs on you in certain dosages.
I think pretty much every drug, like obviously you can't buy them, but it's not illegal to possess and use them.
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
Figure it out.
You ask, answer that for us, but...
It's meant to be like part of their harm reduction policy, as in like we're not going to persecute drug users, we're going to try and focus more on rehabilitating them. However, that whole rehabilitation side of things seemed to go out the window, and it's just kind of been a green light for drug addicts to just use more drugs.
Yeah, and we had no idea. So we arrived in Vancouver, and the first thing we did was drop off our ski bag at a baggage hold area, because our Airbnb, we couldn't check in until 3 o'clock, and I think we arrived at 7 a.m. off the back of a 14-hour red-eye flight. So we were exhausted. We were also battling jet lag. We go to drop the ski bag off, unfortunately, in one of the worst areas in Vancouver. We weren't aware.
You just picture, it's just so funny. It's just like, we were going into it with like, this is going to be the most amazing, vibrant, family-friendly holiday place. So we're all
maybe we'll move here one day.
Bright and cheery, and then we're just walking down the street, and I remember just looking at Liz looking at me. We're looking around, and we're still trying to be positive at first. You're like, oh yeah, just da da da. And then the further you get down it, and the more you see, you kind of just oh, where are we?
Yeah, because you start to see little glimpses of it. There's people just laying on the ground. There's people screaming. Yeah. We went into the place where we were dropping our bag off, and a guy came in, and he was off his head. He was
harassing the people,
harassing the shopkeeper, and we're like, what?
We're trying to give them our baggage while this homeless person is having a full-on physical confrontation with the person who's also like trying to take our luggage. And, like,
Yeah, we're like, are we gonna get our ski bag back by the end of this? Like, is someone gonna come and steal it? Like, honestly,
Yeah.
and it was just we just kept seeing these little moments of like of fear that was like rising in us because it's just because the homeless there and a lot of them are like using drugs. You can tell, like it's so obvious.
It's very open. Well, they have needles in their arms and they're smoking the crack pipes and like because they don't get locked up for it, so there's no reason for them to even try and hide it
and police it. Yeah. So even though Hugh and I are extremely optimistic, positive people, we were even struggling by this point. And I remember like just having this feeling of like dread because we were there for 2 weeks. 2 weeks in this location.
I actually several times on that trip, I remember looking at like how much flights were to come home early. And it was just like, it was like a very large amount. So I was like, we'll just stick it out. But like literally after that, I think towards the end of the trip, we kind of enjoyed ourselves more and made the most of it.
Yep.
But definitely that first initial shock was like, oh my God, what have we committed ourselves to kind of thing.
Yeah, because I can remember like one of the worst ones we saw. So you do see literally people with syringes on the street. It's just so unheard of.
Human feces. Like I've definitely been to places where like you've got to avoid dog poos, but having to avoid human shit is definitely like taking things up a notch when it comes to like things you don't want to have to deal with while you're walking around a city.
Yeah, it was pretty nasty. And like we went to this gym almost every day because we kind of weren't enjoying walking around the city. We actually didn't like Hugh didn't feel safe, and Hugh's like a big burly guy, and he was like I remember there was one time we were staying across from a Starbucks, like literally across the road. You could see it from our hotel basically, and I was going over to do a work block, and he was like, you go straight there and you don't go anywhere else, and like have your phone on you. And there was a few times you went and got groceries, and I remember you even being like, I'm not feeling comfortable walking around by myself. Like you have to really have your like wits about you.
Yeah, it's just like it's sad to see, but it's just like I wouldn't necessarily say a lot of what I saw was super violent, but just like when you have people with mental health issues who are using drugs, it's just drugs. It's the unpredictability of it. You never know what's going on in their head, what they're actually seeing, what they're actually feeling, and just like it's extremely volatile. It's just like you don't know the unpredictability of it.
Yeah. And like, for instance, we were at this gym and it had like floor to ceiling windows so you could see out onto the street. And it was quite entertaining. And there was this one day we were both training and we were looking outside and this guy walks past and he just kind of like collapse on the floor.
Slowly shut down.
Slowly like beep, boop, boop, shut down.
I describe it to like the when like if you've got like a Apple Mac computer and like that spinning wheel of death, like everything
the rainbow
freezes
wheel.
and the rainbow wheel comes out and nothing works, you can't click or anything. That was like the human form of that.
Yeah.
She was stumbling along and then he just went boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom.
He collapsed and I think he was laying on the
But
floor.
it wasn't quite collapsed though. Like he was standing but like full length down, like hunched over, head was like touching the ground and just like
he just deflated. Like he literally
for like 15 minutes.
And we were watching.
Drool was coming out of his mouth. Like.
People were walking and having to step over him, but they weren't even batting an eyelid.
That was what made me realize like how like endemic it was, like how natural, because everyone there was just like used to it. Yeah. Everyone was just walking around like it was something you see absolutely every day.
It was just such a strange thing to see. And then I remember he eventually kind of just like rebooted up. Someone pumped some air into him and he like raised up and walked away like nothing had happened. But he'd just been like unconscious on the floor for 15 minutes, like out in the middle of the street. People are walking past and like it was just, so that was one of the sites we saw. There was also like a guy walking around with an IV drip, just walking down the street, hooked up to his IV drip.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't consider myself political and I don't have enough knowledge about world politics to comment on it too much, but from some of the Canadians who we talked to who actually live there, they seem to think it was to do with the Trudeau government, and when they came in it all kind of went downhill from there. But take from that what you will, but from what we saw anyway and from talking to people who actually live there, it definitely wasn't always like that, and it's been more so like the past like 5 to 10 years where it's kind of all really gone downhill there. So it's kind of like a stark reminder of like what can happen somewhere if a few bad decisions happen when it comes to like policy and what you do and don't allow in a country, and as a society as a whole, what you do and don't allow to happen around you. Like if we just suddenly start allowing things like that to become a norm, they will become a norm.
Yeah, you got to have some rules.
Yeah.
So anyway, enough about that. We did go on this trip to ski and to explore Vancouver, and that we did.
Yes, we did.
So we did get to have a look around beautiful Stanley Park in Vancouver. I'd recommend having a look there. It's sort of slightly out of the city, but walkable from the CBD. You can like hire a bike and ride around the park. It was really beautiful. I mean, I think the day we went, it was a little bit overcast, but we still enjoyed it. I think we were just grateful to get away from the city and get into nature, and there wasn't as many homeless people there. It was a bit more like family friendly, which we thought Vancouver on whole would be, but and then another area we really loved was, I've just remembered, Granville Island.
Yeah,
so
that's nice.
if you walk across the bridge from the main CBD, it's quite famous actually, and there's a big market there. I remember eating a really good bagel, and
Anywhere where good food was consumed, we have fond memories of.
yeah, actually, this was where, so we walked past Granville Market after spending some time there because there was a supermarket we wanted to go to. And of course, we had to get the broccoli or protein powder or something. And we were walking there, and then there was this pie shop nearby. And I was like, oh, I want a pie. So we go into the supermarket, we go to the pie shop. And as we're at the pie shop, this lady started chatting to us. And we were chatting for so long. She was being so lovely. She was just really curious that we were from Australia, what we were doing in Vancouver.
Because her son was going to be moving there.
That's right. So that was the connection. She was intrigued.
He was going to go to university in Australia because she was actually quite concerned about him going to university in Canada because of, by her words, she said that like the Canadian education system was so like corrupted by the political system that she didn't want her son to be exposed to that. So she was going as far as to send her son to Australia to go to university.
And she kind of wanted us to vouch for Australia and give her some peace of mind, which we did, I think. But we were talking for so long. She was so lovely. But then she ended up inviting us to her house to...
Stranger danger.
Yeah, to stay there. Because she was like, where are you guys staying? And we're like, like in the city. Like we didn't really want to say where. We said, oh, we've got like an Airbnb. And she was like, oh, you guys can stay with me if you want. I've got a granny flat.
Invited us around to dinner.
Yeah, invited us around to dinner. And we were kind of
Come
like...
meet my son.
being people pleasers, like saying yes. But I remember afterwards we were like, oh, that's
a
like,
little bit weird.
yeah, that's like textbook, like like serial killer kind of tactics.
Come round to my house, stay in my granny flat.
Yeah, meet my kids. Like, so anyway, she got our details and we never heard from her again. So
Yeah.
I have a feeling she went home and told her kids.
Found another victim.
And they all found another victim. I think she went and told her family, and her family were probably like,
No,
Mum, that
that's
is
so
so weird. What do you mean you invited complete strangers to our house? Not only to eat dinner, but also to stay in our house. Like, who does that? So we never got an invite from the lady, the nice, sweet Canadian lady, but it was quite an interesting interaction.
Yeah. Canada, I mean, Vancouver in itself, pretty gloomy. I think it's rainy there like 200 and something days of the year. So
Yeah.
does have a bit of a gloomy, overcast vibe. And I think that contributed to the overall like kind of negative feel of it. I would suggest that if you are going to go there, definitely like hire a car and probably spend most of your time out of the city, like exploring the wilderness, because the nature and the wilderness is beautiful. So we would catch the bus from Vancouver to Whistler when we were doing our skiing. And the bus ride out there was amazingly beautiful. So you go through like Squamish and a few other places like that, and you see all like the beautiful trees and big like mountains, and then when you finally do get out to Whistler, like Whistler is amazing too. Really nice little ski town, like really cool like pub hotels and stuff, and restaurants,
Cobblestone
and,
streets.
yeah, like really almost like old school European town kind of vibes.
Yep.
And the slopes themselves, like awesome ski slopes. That was really fun too. It does get quite busy. I think its greatest strength is its greatest weakness. Its strength is that it's so close to a major city. So it's like, as you said, we just caught the bus and back each day.
Yep.
But because it's so close to a major city, I think that's why it's so very popular. And like people who live in Vancouver can literally just go there for the weekend. And so that would be my tip as well. If you are going to go to Whistler, try and go during the week, because the weekends definitely did get really busy.
Yeah, I remember we spoke to a couple on a chairlift and who lived in, I think they lived in Vancouver or nearby, and they were saying exactly that. Like, it gets absolutely so busy because there isn't really another ski option within like hours distance. Like, it's quite far. I think, I don't know what the next one would be.
Pretty much anywhere in the world. Like,
Yeah.
there's not really any ski slopes in the world that are within like an hour of a major
That close
city.
to a major city. No, not that I can think of. Maybe somewhere in Europe, but I think Canada's maybe a little bit more accessible for like people in America and whatnot. So, but yeah, Whistler was great. There was one thing I noticed as a more beginner skier at this time that did worry me a little bit. And I looked it up online because I was like, what is up with this? So if you're not familiar with skiing, you have like piste, like on piste, which is when they've, groomed. So they've groomed the run, which means it's nice and padded down, it's easy to ski down, versus moguls, which is when they don't groom it at all, and it's sort of like hilly and it's got all the bumps, and it's definitely for more like advanced skiers. Something I noticed there was that on one side, so you've also got, we should mention, there's Whistler and there's Blackcomb, because the mountain is called Whistler Blackcomb.
I forgot about that.
But that's actually two separate mountains that are connected by this amazing cable car that goes like between this big canyon. So that was a really cool experience. But on one side, it was not groomed, and on the other it was. And I looked it up afterwards, and apparently some days they just don't groom it. They just leave it. They'll do it maybe every second day. And
I remember this.
we went on a
bringing
day.
back all these memories.
I remember because it gave me like
I
PTSD.
remember that actually, because I even remember myself, like I would consider myself an advanced skier, and I remember going down a few slopes and being like, oh, this feels a little bit like bumpier than what I would be used to.
It does make a big difference. I think if you were a bit more confident as a skier and you did it quite frequently, it wouldn't worry you. But I personally, and I think you're the same, we kind of prefer the groomed slopes. It's just a little bit less stressful and more enjoyable. It's like it just takes out one more variable. You can just sort of focus on your skiing. You're not worrying about navigating through the moguls. So something to keep in mind. I'm trying to remember. So as I mentioned, there's Whistler and there's Blackcomb.
Yeah, I forgot about that massive cable car that connects the two mountains. Like you can just go across from one to the other. That was really cool.
Yeah, your ski pass allows you to go on this cable car, and it is like the views are absolutely stunning. Like it's worth it just to get the view.
Wow, it's all coming back to me now. And there was a slope over on Blackcomb that was like Hughes something, like Hughes.
Oh yeah, Hughes Heaven.
Hughes Heaven.
There was a run called Hughes Heaven, and it was amazing.
Because the bloke who like established that part of the mountain, his name was Hughes.
Old Huey.
Yeah.
Didn't know you were over in Canada back in the day.
Oh, Canada.
Yeah, it was amazing, that run. I don't know if you remember, but it's obviously it starts up high and then it goes down low because that's how ski runs work. But
let me describe to you how mountains work.
In case you weren't aware. But I just distinctly remember at the top, the view was so incredible. And when you came down, it was just like the view got even better somehow as you came down the mountain. The scenery, like whilst we maybe have complained a little bit about Canada and Vancouver from what we've seen of it, it is beautiful. Like the scenery, the snow in Whistler is absolutely like, and the trees, because it's your typical Canadian like pine trees and forest all covered in snow. Like it's absolutely stunning. And I think if we did go back to Canada, which I would like to one day, what Hugh said before, get a car and spend more time out in the wilderness rather than in the city, because
shut up and drive.
I think a lot of the cities have been overrun with the fentanyl
Give up on the
zombies.
cities that overrun. Escape to the wilderness.
Yeah, literally. It's literally like The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend Whistler. But yeah, if we didn't stay in Whistler, so we mentioned we stayed in Vancouver and we were bussing in. Definitely a cheaper option. I have heard that Whistler accommodation is quite exy.
Yeah, any ski town is quite expensive.
Yeah, but look, if you've got the funds, like by all means, I would stay out there. I probably wouldn't want to stay. The whole thing with staying in ski towns is it's quite isolated and remote.
There.
So I think, you know, you pick and choose whether you want to stay there or if you want to do what we did. I did like staying in the city for the fact that when we didn't want to ski, we had other options. We weren't like secluded.
Although in Vancouver, there wasn't a whole lot to do.
No, I think we exhausted most options, didn't we?
Yeah, because we like to explore cities, but it just wasn't really that kind of city, to be honest.
No.
Wasn't really like a vibrant walking city with like culture and all that kind of stuff. It was more like you only walk the streets if you absolutely need to.
Yes.
Otherwise, you stay inside.
Yes. Some of the food we ate, though, do you want to talk about that?
Oh, yeah.
Your
the food's
domain.
always my domain. They had, so what was some of the favorites? Pumpkin pie was definitely like the standout.
yeah.
There's something we don't really get here. I don't know why. Like, it's a cool, like, food item.
It's the best.
We get pumpkin here. We get pies here. Why don't we make pumpkin pies?
Mix it all together. And
get the best of both worlds. I literally have not seen pumpkin pies at like any of the supermarkets I've been to in Australia, but they are amazing.
Yeah, and butter tarts.
Oh, butter tarts.
These are Canadian classics that we set out to try before we got there, and we tried them. we had a lot. We also had not Canadian, but there was these muffins. Do you remember those bran muffins we were eating?
It was like a dark bran. Oh. These muffins were huge, and we were grabbing like several each day.
Yeah, because we were staying across from, wasn't it an IGA? Didn't they have IGA over there or like some equivalent?
What was the yellow one? That we brought a bag home from.
Oh, No Frills.
No Frills.
No Frills is a big supermarket they have. Frills,
or
like
frills.
with an F.
Frills.
No like
frills.
like frill neck lizard.
Yeah. Frills is in the special bits.
What?
Frills is in the extra attachments, the add-ons. I think that's what the name means.
Oh.
So like no extra bits. It's just the plain,
I see.
plain essentials. That's why it's so cheap.
Okay. But yeah, we were staying across from like a little mini IGA thing, and we were hitting it up daily getting food because we were so uncomfortable going out on the streets, so we ended up actually eating at the Airbnb a lot, apart from like a few meals out.
Yeah.
I remember Mum kept messaging me. She's like, "Are you going out to some restaurants?" I was like, No. I was like, "We're scared."
Because we planned a few walks. Like we were like, "Oh, we want to check out this area. We want to check out this area," and it was just like bleak, man.
Yeah,
and you'd be walking through it, and it's just like you could only stay in the center bit where everyone is. As soon as you take like a few steps away from the center, it's just like dodgy, like crackdown vibes.
Quite literally.
Like you're literally walking down the street and you're
street.
like, okay, no one is here. There's only junkies here. They're all looking at me. Like,
yeah. Yeah, literally one street can make a big difference. I remember talking to, I think it was the lady we met at the pie shop about the area we were staying in, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I wouldn't stay there." No. We're like, "Great, that's where we are for 2 weeks."
Well, it's just hard, like because like when you stay in a new city, you look at it, you're like, "Where's the city center? I want to stay in the city center," because you think to yourself, "Well, that'll be well connected. I'll be able to get around." But I don't even think there was a train. There was not even a train system around in Vancouver.
I think we caught the train from the
airport into it. But I was looking for
I think you're right. I don't think there was a metro or anything.
We wanted to do a few like day trips out to like maybe a few of the surrounding cities and that, because we're so used to Japan, like you can literally get anywhere within a few hours. But it was like, that if you wanted to get out further into other cities and that, it was only buses, and they were like ridiculously expensive, and they took a very long time. So yeah, in terms of like infrastructure and travel, I would definitely not give Vancouver a high rating.
So yeah, I hope this hasn't been too bleak.
As Liz said, we'll give Canada another try. We might go to like Montreal or Calgary or something.
Banff.
Banff is Calgary.
All right.
But yeah, before we give like a final verdict on Canada as a whole, but it's a stark reminder of like, well, for us at least, it was really good to come back, and it made us appreciate home a lot more. And yeah, just like not letting things deteriorate, and like, because that didn't just happen overnight, all of that. It would have been like a slow decline, and like it's not just up to the government too. Like it's the the whole community as a whole is like, what are you willing to accept? I know personally, like back here, like there has been like, obviously there's homelessness anywhere, but like homelessness doesn't always have to mean like high drug addiction, high crime, high violence, like all the rest of it kind of thing. So I think I appreciate here that we may have homelessness, but that doesn't mean we accept like open drug use and violence and like harassment. And I feel like the homelessness in Canada, it's almost like they're seen as like a protected species kind of thing. Like it's not their fault. Like you have to just let them do what they want to do. They're like drug addiction as itself is, I get seeing drug addiction as a mental illness because it is a mental illness, but that doesn't mean you just allow it to happen and just don't condemn it at all. I feel like in Canada things got so bad because everyone just kind of let it get that way.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think just because something isn't somebody's fault doesn't mean it's something you should condone and just let people get away with.
Yeah, I agree. And it did make us very appreciative to come back to Australia, as you said. And I think that was something we took from the experience, was off the back of so many trips back to back from the start of 2023 till this trip, early 2024, we kind of decided, okay, let's have a break now and let's like go home and appreciate the beautiful country that we do live in. So that was a massive positive that we did take away from the trip, was being more appreciative of where you live. Because I think at this time, when we've reflected on this in past episodes, we were still in that mind state of not really appreciating where we lived and coming from a sense of lack with the booking of all these trips. And I think this was almost like the catalyst for us to start to make a change with that mindset and be like, hang on, we actually live in an amazing part of the world where we don't have these issues. Aren't we lucky that we get to walk out the front door and we feel safe? We don't have to look over our shoulder.
Yeah, I think I was just about to say, it makes you realize how underrated like safety and cleanliness is.
Yes.
Like you take those things for granted because I just expect that I'm not going to get like harassed as I walk out the front door, and I'm not going to have to see people shooting up, and I'm not going to have to avoid human feces on my way to work and all this kind of stuff. Like you take that for granted because you don't experience it, but then you actually go somewhere where that's a reality and you're like, wow, it's pretty amazing thing that we do live somewhere where, like, I don't know, on the whole, like, I don't know, it might be different for some people depending on where you live, but it never really crosses my mind, like, am I going to get into an altercation today?
No.
Like, it would be such a strange thing for me to ever think like something's going to happen. Like, it would be a rare event.
But it's a constant.
Whereas there, it was like every time you leave the house, it's like, it's not, am I going to be like seeing something crazy and being involved in something crazy? It's what is the crazy thing?
And how crazy could it get?
And how crazy, and like, is it going to fall out onto me, or am I just going to be a witness of it? So regardless of if you are getting assaulted or like physically altercated with in some way, you're still being exposed to it. You're seeing it happen every single day. Every single day we were there.
And that has an effect on you.
It was like, what crazy shit are we going to see today? Yeah,
I remember saying that to Hugh. I'm like, I thought I'd seen the craziest shit, and then something got crazier.
And there would be something the next day. And then at night time, man, like trying to, like, I did not sleep a wink there because the whole night time you're just hearing people screaming and there's sirens going and there's windows breaking and, oh man, yeah. Sorry, Canada. I'm not condemning you as a place. There are some truly beautiful Canadians I know, and there were some truly beautiful Canadian people that we interacted with over there. Yeah. But yeah, there's some stuff going on there.
Yep. I think we will just bypass Vancouver completely next time, and I think we will go out to more of the beautiful the places that you think of when you think of Canada. Your Banff, like he was saying, your Montreal. So yeah, I am actually looking forward to giving Canada another go one day, and I think it will meet our expectations of what we pictured a trip to Canada to be like. We just need to maybe do a bit more pre-planning next time. Yeah. But this is going to help you guys, hopefully, if you're planning a trip to Vancouver. Maybe think otherwise. I don't think you will after listening to this, but we're not really selling it. But no, I'm glad we're being honest about it, and we're not really like sugarcoating it.
No.
Yeah. Well, I think that's everything we wanted to speak about on this one. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Bella, for joining us and being quiet. If you're watching at home, you can see that Bella has been hopping between Hugh and I.
The therapy dog.
Yeah, she has a very calming effect. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.